There have been many messages from you on Discord or in YouTube comments asking me, Kaz, Corepunk, does it the worth or not? Should I buy it? Should I dive into this early access or not? Well, today I will try to answer this question for you by offering you my personal experience after a month of playing Corepunk. So, Corepunk, I made quite a few videos about it. When it was released a month ago, I made a video when the servers opened. We discovered the game together. We discovered the gameplay. I also made a beginner's guide for those who really want to take the plunge and have a good foundation to start well. Their adventure on Corepunk. I'm not going to go over the entire history of Corepunk. Just remember that it's a cyber fantasy type MMORPG with a rather cartoonish graphic style. I like it. It has this wild star vibe, I want to say. Even the atmosphere, there's humor, there's irony, there's good writing, especially in the NPCs. It's a game that is played from a top-down view, a bit like a MOBA. However, it's not a MOBA in the dynamic way of combat. It's much slower. It's much more relaxed. And we're dealing with an MMO that will revisit some of the cliches of old MMOs, namely a demanding MMORPG that requires you to time, investment, that will ask you to play in groups as a team, in a guild. There are certain areas, certain activities that you won't be able to do solo simply because the mobs are way too strong. So Corepunk, here's what it is in a nutshell for those who don't know at all. Be aware that the game is in early access. It is not available on Steam or the Epic Game Store, which is also a big question that comes up. It is available on its official website and it has a solo launcher. But it's not on the major platforms. That's also a question some players have raised, so I'm going to clarify things right away. Just because a game isn't listed on Steam or isn't listed on Epic Game Store doesn't mean its launcher or program is full of malware or something. We need to stop this belief that all games not on Steam are pirated games, games that are gonna hack your PC, that will install viruses. You mine bitcoins in a ghostly manner. No, stop that, friends. Before Steam, we downloaded games directly from their official site and that's it. So Corepunk is a game developed by a team that chose not to go through the major platforms for the moment simply because all the revenue they generate goes back to them 100%. I remind you that Steam still takes a big percentage on each game sale, so it is also an economic policy that exists. So the game is in early access, available since the month of November 2024. It is planned to officially release at the end of the year 2025, so 1 year of early access. The game is buy to play, meaning you buy it once. You can access it as much as long as you want. There is no subscription, no premium pass, no battle pass, none of those things. There is a cosmetic shop in the game. The initial price for access, Corepunk, is a pack for 33 euros. We will do a little overview on the price at the end of this video. I will talk to you about my personal experience. What I did is I started right when the European servers opened. I created a bomber, a stealth character equipped with dual daggers, and I went up to the level 10. I remind you that currently the maximum level is level 20 and that in the future, when the game is developed and there are more updates, it will be at level 40. It goes without saying that I haven't even done 25% of the final leveling. I did half of the leveling available during this early access and I played quite a long time, and I can tell you that it is extremely long. I think I spent more than 50% of my time gathering resources because yes, in Corepunk you can gather everything. There are crates everywhere to loot, and if you're a bit lucky, you can find really rare and very useful things in a small crate like that, abandoned on the side of a path. So I leveled up my gathering skills, I leveled up my crafting skills, I didn't rush, I take my time, I wander, I stroll, and anyway, Corepunk is a game where you'll spend a lot of time moving around. Like in classic World of Warcraft back in the day, you don't necessarily have a mount right away, you don't have the possibility to teleport everywhere, so travel time will take, I think, 1/3 of your game time. As for the remaining game time, well, I think we can also count a big third of the game time to regenerate your life, because yes, in Corepunk at the start you do not have passive life regeneration, meaning when you take damage your health bar decreases, and the only way to restore your HP was to set up a campfire and eat food. So there was a patch release because it was really too hardcore, and the developers still added the possibility to gain hit points when we are out of combat, so we regenerate little by little. And that's good because it was still extremely difficult, extremely hardcore. If I am only level 10 after a month of playing, it's because I took my time, but also because there were quite a few difficulties on the servers. It's an independent team, and when you say independent team, well, it means by a huge budget for servers, not a huge budget for maintenance, even though everything is fine in the sense that the experience I gained, the items are looted, everything is well saved, there are no issues on the server. It is a unique server. European, I remind you that there is a unique American server, a unique server I think in Asia. There will be several servers, but the European server will bring together all European players. Well, this server was down for a long time. It was dead. It was out of service. There was sometimes maintenance phases lasting 4 to 5 hours during the day, which is completely normal, and sometimes maintenance phases that last 2 to 3 days in a row. And when we look on Discord, we see that it's a bit of a panic. People are panicked, people are crying scandal a bit, but it's an early access and I accept it, and it doesn't shock me to have a game that is down for 2 to 3 days. I think we will have compensations, at least I hope so, for the gameplay time we couldn't continue. I played a lot solo during my months of playing. I barely played in groups except for some elite mobs that were extremely hard. There I was able to group with people. Actually, the social aspect of the game is really very pronounced, meaning that there is no auction house for now. So all the trading is done in chat. Everyone speaks English, so prepare your best English to make trades. The chat is quite useful. You can directly link items with another translation, and you especially have the possibility to exchange map points on the Corepunk map. At the beginning you have nothing, and as you progress you will discover points and you can manually place markers on your map. You can exchange these markers with other players, and you can also collect markers from other players in the chat, which is very useful for finding somewhat hidden resources or quest items that you've been unable to find for hours. What I can say currently is that socially, in terms of the server atmosphere, it is very good. People are engaged despite a few PvP zones where one can interrupt. The vast majority of the available map is a rather safe area without player versus player. So there's a good atmosphere, people help each other, people chat, people trade, do commerce and group dynamically to assist each other. Last thing before moving on to the positives and negatives, know that currently we are on a large main map. The landscapes you will encounter can be a bit repetitive, like plains, fields and forests. I can't wait for them to add other areas because after a while it gets a bit tiring. I will give you the most positive impressions on Corepunk after 1 month of playing. Corepunk offers a true MMORPG experience like the old days with a constant challenge. It's a game that's difficult with leveling that takes time. And that's for the best. We're tired of fast food MMORPGs. Team cooperation and the social aspect are essential, with interdependent players whether in terms of economy or combat. The unique European server is well populated, which is a big positive for this type of game. Yes, Corepunk is a game that needs to have a lot of active people to be alive. Currently, that's the case. I will also make a point about the price, which I find reasonable. 33 euros for a game on which you will be able to spend 10, 50 hours, 100 hours, or even more. Frankly, I think it's quite worth it, especially since we have a roadmap and the game will evolve as the months go by, so it's all positive. Also, know that the game has a French translation. It's a translation that is automated by an AI, but I found very few inconsistencies. Honestly, there are very few inconsistencies. The majority of what we read is translated into very proper French, so in that regard, it's all good. Lastly, the developers are responsive. When there are crashes, they're there. When there are server issues, they explain why, they explain what they're doing, they explain the progress being made, so to speak. And finally, the cash shop, as I mentioned earlier, is currently purely cosmetic, which is great. Now let's talk about the cons. What's wrong with Corepunk after a month of playing? Well, the game, as I told you, it's still a game in development and early access, and still it's lacking content. Yes, it lacks content. I think we're going to reach level 20. We might end up going in circles a bit. What keeps us from going in circles right away after a month is that the book is so long, extremely long, with difficult quests and a lot of back and forth. It's not after a month that will feel stuck due to a lack of content. We might get bored before feeling a lack of content, but the lack of content is still there, and this huge map, which is already large to explore, is a bit redundant. I am getting a little tired of having this map. I would like to see something else as scenery and environment to discover. Another negative point is that the game offers a lot of playable classes, and unfortunately there are only 3 available. Chaos for now is a shame, because when you create your character, you see that you have a choice between many classes, but we only have 3 playable ones currently, and normally the others will be added little by little. That's also a big downside. And finally, in the negative points, it's the repeated server maintenance that sometimes makes it impossible to play for 2 to 3 days. That's a bit of a hassle for an MMORPG. To conclude, Corepunk remains an MMORPG with solid foundations, but there is still a lack of high-level content for the moment, so it offers a difficult, sometimes frustrating experience, and I totally adhere to that. I prefer a game that is difficult, that will take my time and make me rage from time to time, but at least I will be happy to level up, I will be happy to kill a mob or loot an item that interests me than a fast food MMO, where after 30 minutes I've steamrolled everyone, I'm fully equipped with epic gear, and I'm bored. This game, I think, is aimed primarily at players looking for a traditional MMORPG with old school difficulty. If the developers manage to deliver regular content, I think it could become an excellent MMO for a dedicated audience. We'll see what happens in 2025. I found a little graph for you made by a Corepunk player who compiled all the news, all the information that we given over the past few months to see a little bit of a schedule of what's coming. Normally, during this winter, so early 2025, Highland Extraction, a PvP line, will be added. Extraction PvE, so basically you take the extraction principle found everywhere and you apply it to Corepunk. I'm curious to see what it will look like. We will also find the defender specialization for the hero champion. So a new specialization for the champion class. We will be able to store our gold directly in the bank. Currently that is not the case, and there will be game optimizations. Still in the winter, what will we find? Instances, and notably the battlegrounds instances. We'll also find the specialized grenadier class for the bomber, the class I currently play. During spring 2025, new dungeons should arrive, dungeons that can be done solo or in team PvE dungeons, but also new specializations for the currently playable classes in the game. Finally, during the summer of 2025, we should find the guild system, but there won't be guild galleons yet, new specializations, and finally, they should arrive more quickly soon. From the year 2025, an auction house, namely a sales hotel, which can be quite interesting, and a talent tree system for everyone. CRJZ, which is professional crafting and gathering profession. There you go, friends. In this video you received some information. Don't hesitate to give a thumbs up, share and subscribe. I say see you very soon, next time with you. Bye everyone. This was Kazh.